In this video, we're having a look at the SandMarc Hybrid ND-PL filters for iPhone. Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. So, to begin with, I just want to say how I actually have a lot of experience in filming on phones in particular. I actually filmed a pilot for a TV show that unfortunately didn't go anywhere, but I shot it entirely on iPhone back in 2020. I've got drawers full of stuff and accoutrement, how to best film and capture with phones. So this is something that I know quite a lot about, and so that's why I was quite excited to have a look at these filters and try them out and see how it works. Now, why would you want ND filters or neutral density filters for your phone camera? So what an ND filter is, it's basically like sunglasses for your phone. So it darkens the image coming into the phone. And the reason why you want that is because of a thing called motion blur. Stick with me, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy, but I'll try and be as non-nerdy as possible. Basically, if you look at me shaking my hands like this, and I've done this properly, my hands should look blurry, right? You don't see my fingers distinctly. As I move my hands and I shake my hands in front of you, they look blurry. Now, that's the way the human eye actually works. In fact, I want everyone who's watching this right now, take your hand and shake it in front of you like this, and you will see that your fingers are actually a blur. They're not solid. You don't see your fingers sort of solid. You see them as a blur. And that's how our eyes naturally see. Now, that's not how cameras work. In order to get a camera to work like that, you need to lock the shutter speed to double your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 25 frames per second, you lock your shutter speed to a 50th. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, you lock your shutter speed to a 60th, so on and so forth. If you don't do that, and let's say, so how shutter speed works, so I should explain that as well. Basically, the lower your shutter speed, the more light is being let into the camera. Now, this is how normal cameras work. Obviously, digital cameras work slightly differently, but the principle is the same. So the shutter is the thing that opens up and lets light in. So the slower your shutter speed, the slower your shutter is opening and closing, the more light is getting into your camera. And the faster your shutter speed, the less light is getting into your camera, or fewer light particles are getting into your camera. And so if you're filming outside and it's a really bright day, you want to have a fast shutter speed so you're not letting a lot of light in, because otherwise your image is going to be completely white because it's going to be too bright. If you're shooting in low light, you want a slow shutter speed to let in as much light as possible so that your image is well exposed. So if you're filming outside on a sunny day and you don't have an ND filter, one of the only ways, there's other ways, but the main way that you would darken your image so that your image is properly exposed and not overexposed is you would have a fast shutter speed. The problem with that is that if you have a fast shutter speed, you have this thing called staccato with your movement, which basically means if I shake my fingers, and I'll play some sample footage now, you will see my fingers, it'll look like I've got like 10, 15 fingers on screen instead of motion blur. And what that does to your audience when they're watching your video is that subconsciously their brain will be going, something's not right with this, something doesn't look natural. So the motion doesn't look natural. So that's why you don't want staccato. Now, you might want staccato. For example, the most famous use of staccato is the beginning of a film called Saving Private Ryan, where there's a big scene of the Normandy invasions. And Steven Spielberg deliberately got his cinematographer to film that at a higher shutter speed to create staccato. So the movement doesn't look natural and it makes the audience feel uncomfortable. And something I always say when I'm teaching film and stuff to photographers is I go, you know, with everything, there's tons of rules and you can break any of those rules as long as you've got a good reason to break them. But that is the basic rule. It's called the 180-degree shutter rule, in case you were wondering. So in order to lock your shutter speed on a bright day, you have to darken your image, and you can't do it with the settings on the camera, so you put sunglasses on the camera. And I'm just going to play some samples now to give you an idea of how the footage looks out of the camera with and without this. So this is a quick test in sunlight. This is the native camera app, and you can see my hands are not really, there's not natural blur because it's adjusting the shutter speed automatically, and now it's gone in, now the sun's gone behind the clouds, and now it's going to be even different. And we'll see what that looks like, and then we'll try with the ND filter and see what difference it makes. This is now 25 frames per second in the native camera app, but I've put the ND on the camera, so we'll see if this actually makes a difference to the blur of my hands in the native camera app with the ND applied. And so there you saw how by adding ND filters to your camera, you can actually get natural looking motion blur by being able to lock your shutter speed. Now, you notice there that I showed you a couple of examples with the native camera app. Now, that's a challenge with the native camera app on iPhone, is because there's nowhere on the native camera app to lock your shutter speed. So what I do if I need to use the native camera app, I will actually go into DaVinci Resolve's Blackmagic camera app. Not DaVinci Resolve, that's the editing software. The company's called Blackmagic. I'll go into the Blackmagic camera app. I will lock my shutter speed to 25 frames per second. I will work out which one of the ND filters I need to put on, which strength I need to put on, because they come in different strengths, so darker and lighter. And then I'll go back to the native app. Now, you might be thinking, well, why do I care about the native app? Why don't I just film everything in the Blackmagic camera app? And in a lot of situations, I would use the Blackmagic camera app, but I've been experimenting quite a lot in the last couple of years with spatial video, which is like the 3D type video that you film with for Vision Pro and other headsets. And the challenge with that is most apps that shoot spatial video, again, they don't allow you to lock the shutter speed. So what I will do in that instance is I will go into the Blackmagic camera app, get my settings right, get the right darkness that I want, and then I'll switch to the other app. And then I know that even though I can't be assured that it's locking my shutter speed to a double of my frame rate, I'm pretty darn close, and at least the movement will look relatively natural. So that's why you would want these kind of filters for your phone. Now, they do also sell a case. Now, a slight nice thing with the case, the reason why you might want to look at the case, is that it's got indentations here that you can screw on their lenses, and you can get a step-up ring that allows you to screw on the filters. So if you didn't want to use the clip, and the reason why you might not want to use the clip, putting it on the wrong way around. So I do like the fact that it does come with a clip, so you don't have to use the case, and you can just clip the lenses onto here. But the problem with that is that if you are in your camera app, one of the challenges there is it might be covering up some of your UI. So for example, if I bring up the Blackmagic camera app, you can see there that it is actually blocking some of the UI here in the corner. So that is why you might not want to use the clip, and you might want to use, you might want to clip the lens directly on there, and you do need to get an adapter. It's $15, so it's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if you could. It would be nice if they put the step-up ring in the case with it, so that'd be nice, but they don't. The other thing I like about the clip-on is the fact that that means I can use it with other phones, but it depends on where the cameras are on the other phones. So for example, this is the Nothing 3 Pro, I believe, and as you can see on here, I can't quite get the filter over all of the lenses, but I can get it over one, so I just got to work out which one I'm using, and then I can get it over the lens. Same thing with the Samsung phone. Again, the placing of where the lenses are, I can't quite get it over all three at the same time, but you know, I can work out which one it is and move it around. So the clip is really easy to attach the lenses to it, so you just screw the lenses onto the clip, he says confidently. God, this is so simple and I can't, I'm struggling. There we go. So there's that. So that is the ND side of it. It comes with 3 strengths. So it comes with ND16, ND32, and an ND64. And if you've used ND filters before, that's a pretty good range. Sometimes these systems come with ND8, 16, and 32. Particularly in Australian sun, I'm glad they gave us 16, 32, and 64 because it can get pretty darn bright here in the land down under. Another nice feature of these adapters, these filters, and this is why they're called hybrid filters, is they are also PL filters. So PL, circular polarized, so they're polarized. And how that works is you can rotate this on the filter, and that will actually adjust the amount of reflection that you get off of a glass window. So I'm playing some sample footage now, and you can see here that it actually does a pretty darn good job of reducing the reflection of shooting through a window. It can also let you do some pretty cool effects if you're taking photos or video of running water, where you can adjust that as well. That's another thing, that if you've got, and there are apps that you can get for iPhone, and I think, you know, Android does this as well, obviously, where you can manually change the shutter speed, and you can set a really, really low shutter speed so that water ends up looking like a solid thing instead of running water. So there's some really cool sort of things that you can do with the ND and the PL, and I like the fact that it's built into one. I want to jump in quickly here and show you a cool thing that you can do with the ND filters on your phone. So I've got an app called Slow Shutter. I'll put a link down in the description below, that you can slow down your shutter. So I've actually slowed down my shutter here to a 30-second exposure. So it's going to open up the shutter and leave it open for 30 seconds. I've put on the strongest ND here because I want to show you a cool thing that you can do called light painting, where basically, so it's going to leave the camera open for 30 seconds, and in those 30 seconds I'm going to use the torch on my phone to make you know, a heart or whatever, and it's going to actually paint it in light, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and tap this and see how this works. So it gives me a little countdown. Yep, cool. And so I turn the torch on and create the heart shape. I kind of guesstimate, turn the torch off, and then do a little arrow through there, and I think that's worked. Let's go and have a look at the phone and see what we've done. So I'm a terrible drawer, but you get the basic idea. I'll put a couple of samples up now. So that is a quick look at the SandMarc ND-PL hybrid filters. Yeah, my one thing is I wish they put the step-up ring in here. You can add their lenses. They didn't send me any lenses to try it. Hopefully I can get some of their lenses to try it as well, because the filter can go directly onto the lens, but in order to get it onto there, as I said, you need the adapter. That was a quick look at that. By the way, the price at the moment is $129.99 US. I'm not sure what it is in Australia. If I do find out before the release of the video, I'll put it down in the description. I hope this video is helpful. If you've got any questions, please let me know. If you'd like me to do a bit more about how to film better with iPhones, this is definitely a topic that I know quite a lot about, so happy to chat about it if you're interested. Let me know down in the comments. Anywho, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was useful. If it has been helpful or useful, please like and subscribe. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for your support. Share it with everyone far and wide, and yeah, I hope I've forgotten completely what I was going to say. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was useful. I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Safe and happy photographing or videoing. Yeah. Well, we do what we must. So I just wanted to... Oh, no, that's crooked. It's going to bother me. In this video, we're having a look at the hybrid ND-PL filters for iPhone from SandMarc. Waving like a mad person. Oh, that actually starts to... It's a bit of a workout.